So, good afternoon and welcome to the YouTube channel of Salonpreneur Magazine. And we are here to chat about the winter edition of Salonpreneur Magazine. And I'm welcoming today for the first time the two Claires, Claire
Hello.
Black. I can't speak today. Claire Black and Claire Runcorn. Ladies,
Afternoon.
would you like to just say hello? And we'll be talking about your article in a moment.
Hello.
Hello. How are we going to do this? We'd like the two Claires. We Claire R, Claire B. But I think in the magazine we've got you as Claire Black and Claire Rulton. Actually, it's Rulton. Why am I saying Rulton? Rulton. Oh, it's been a long morning already. So we're going to be talking today. Obviously, you two are accountants, and you have an accountancy business that focuses entirely on the beauty and salon industry. And that's how come you're going to be writing in the magazine with us. And so, yes, the article you did very nicely kind of went over the November budget and just kind of brought in some of the things, and it's on page 18 if you've got the magazine, please go read it. But you were kind of focusing quite a lot on some of the stuff that's going to impact us come the new financial year. And at this point of recording, we're in middle of January. And we aren't that far away from it, are we, really? We're literally a couple of accounting months away from it.
Yeah,
so
it will be here before we know it.
It will be. And we were saying just before we hit the record button is that I've literally just done my accounts this weekend and I'm done now. So that's all good. And you two are you're in the last week of accountancy doom and gloom because it's just like mad week for you. So thank you very much for joining me this week. So we've sort of picked up a few things we're going to have a bit of a chat around today. So if we start off with the joy, and this is one that doesn't impact me currently, but the joy of dividends. So what's happening with dividends come the new tax year?
So the way we sort of distinguish the businesses, Claire tends to look after sole traders. Excuse my voice, I'm getting over a cold. And I tend to look after limited companies. And if you are a limited company, then one of the ways that you will get paid is via dividends. And you get taxed on your dividends at the moment. So pre-April 26 is 8.75%. That is going up to 10.75%, so 2% increase in April 2026. Now, we can't do anything about that. That is fact, that is happening. However, depending on when you're getting this, it may affect your planning, your tax planning. It may mean that you want to withdraw some of your dividends this tax year, so you're taxed at that lower rate rather than wait until April 26. So you have until the 5th of April 2026 to withdraw that extra cash as dividends.
Because it's something, isn't it? I mean, at the moment, I think we kind of generally in business, we kind of feel like we're being hit from all angles, don't we? And if you can save, for every £100 you're going to take out, if you can save another £2, obviously you're taking out a few thousand, it's going to be, an extra meal out, or something nice to do.
It's every little helps, doesn't it? It's all these little marginal changes that build up to a big number. And it might feel like you're not making a difference, but it does. It's all these little things and optimizing the different tax allowances that will make the difference at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And it literally, you might have wanted to take that money out in April anyway. So just take it out a little bit earlier.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? And I think it's just, why would we want to give the government any more money than we need to? That's always my philosophy in life. It's wherever you can, keep the money in your pocket. And I did an activity with my son when he was about 15, 16 and trying to decide what to do with his life. And we worked out all the areas where you pay tax, and that actually you really only get probably a few pounds out of each £100 that you earn, because nearly whoever you give your money to is also paying tax and VAT and all of those like capital gains and corporation tax. And it's huge. And we don't actually really keep, I'd love to know what the figure is and what we actually do keep as our own money that doesn't go to the government.
A small amount.
It's
a very small amount. You've looked at it all.
He was quite upset when I went through his £100 where it would go, because I think it's like a big reality check, isn't it? And I think in business it's even more of a reality check, because we don't always sit and think about the ramifications of where we put our money and how we utilize it, and doing things like drawing those dividends down early so that you're tax savvy, isn't it? That's what it's about.
And it's about having those conversations. And I think sometimes you're so busy working and you know that you've got a busy diary, which is amazing. And you know that you're making money because you're getting sales. So, you might have put your prices up, done all the things we would tell you to do. actually you still need to sit down and look at those numbers, either yourself or go and speak to an accountant to actually, you've got that money. How are you going to withdraw it from, if you're a limited company or even if you're a sole trader?
How are you spending your money? How are you using your money, and the most optimal way to do that?
And it's little things like, especially coming up to the end of the tax year, do you put some more money into your pension, for example? It's thinking about it. Or do you buy that new piece of equipment?
Yeah.
And just a few days either way can make a massive, massive difference.
Huge. Yeah. I know. In fact, I took some out of my pension about 18 months ago, and I was trying to get it to go in one tax year, and their systems for helping me get my hands on my money meant it ended up in the next tax year, which I really didn't want. But, and I've been trying to do it since the February, and it was like, come on, guys, like this, how hard can this be? But, trying to make those decisions early so that you do end up in the right tax year and so that you can make the most of it. I'm very bad at savings and investments and that kind of stuff. I wasn't brought up with it. And so it's something I've tried to have an understanding of. I did used to work for a pension company, so that kind of helped quite a lot. But I think for most of us, if we haven't had that input from our parents and our families and friends, some of this stuff is just over our heads, and trying to understand the tax efficiency of using a pension.
It's just easy just to bury your head in the sand a little bit, isn't it? And just leave it all in the bank and just think, it will sort itself out. But it's when you look at it for sort of, especially over 10 years or a long period like that, and you realise how much difference that can actually make.
All those £2 that you're saying about paying yourself the dividend early, but over 10 years it just grows and grows and grows.
And even I'm guilty of it. I was looking at my mobile phone contract yesterday and realised I could get a lot cheaper deal, or like half the price, and it was like, how long have I been on this contract for? It's just so easy just to kind of just
to let it roll. It is. So I bought myself a new phone. I can't believe actually how long ago I bought it. I bought it in 2021. And I bought whatever the iPhone was at that time. But you know what? That phone's still working really well. And I'm now only paying, I've been paying about £8 a month for my contract. And it saved me, because if I'd still been on phone contracts, I would have been buying into like the next phone and the next phone and the next phone. And my phone's still perfectly adequate. I need to do battery probably now. But it's been going like 4.5 years. And it's proven that I don't need to keep having a new phone.
It's just we're told to, aren't we?
We're told, there's all societal pressure that you change your phone every year. And look, there's a new shiny iPhone. It's in a new colour, and
they don't actually do very much now, do they?
They don't do anything massively different anymore, do they? I think my phone's 3 years old, possibly more than that, and the battery's just like yours, just beginning to go a little bit.
But the screen, isn't it? It's screen savers and protectors. And
that's it. That's investment nowadays. Is I need another. I do actually need one, because I dropped it on the floor the other day and broke my screen. But better than a new screen. So anyway, back to accounting. So the dividends thing is a real key thing, just to observe everything, isn't it? That to make sure you're utilising all of those resources that flip over at the end of the tax year. So
I would just say, April is obviously the end of the tax year, and where people start to think about doing their self-assessments, or a lot of people's year end is around the same time. Actually, you should start doing it now. I know this is going out a little bit later, but start doing it early. It's such a relief off your mind once it's done. And every year people go, they bury their head in the sand, and then they go, never again. We're not going to let this happen again.
You need accountability.
This year, do it early.
Do it early,
And I also,
we said start doing it now.
Yeah.
As much as it's hell that you've just done last year, start doing this year's now. For sole traders, whatever you are, because if you start doing it now and you've got half a year's accounts or 3/4 of a year's accounts ready to look at, you can start looking and thinking, well, actually, I've got much more money in the business than I thought I did. I can buy that new chair, massage, whatever it is. I can now buy that.
And you can be the smug person.
And you can be,
that's the bit.
And you can be the person saying, I've done it.
Mine.
I'm all done.
If you know what your tax is, and it's then that planning, because just doing your tax return early doesn't mean you pay the tax early.
No.
It means you can plan for it early. And it's really important, I think.
I think, like we were saying before we started recording, is like in my husband's business, who's in the construction industry, we had a massive carrot of tax rebates from his subcontractor scheme. So we have always had his accounts done. At some points, I've actually had them into my accountant by about the 15th of April, because I want that rebate.
You want the rebate? Yeah. So when it works that way around, people are really quick.
Yeah. So I was always very, very engaged in getting his accounts done early, because we knew that we'd have, I mean, anything from, I think the minimum we ever had was about £1,000, and we've had, the biggest one we had was about 11 grand rebate, which was like, which paid for the creation of my salon when I had my salon. So, you know, there's a lot of benefits, and even though you may end up in a narrow industry, generally you're going to end up with a tax bill after doing our accounts. But you know, if you complete them on time, you've got months and months of getting that money together if you haven't got it. So yeah, I know I'm in the club of, I'm going to make a better start this year. I know I'm in that club.
We'll hold you to it. Yeah.
But we do have to be, don't we? So the other thing, and I think one of the big things that's been in the news a lot over the last couple of months, is business rates. And I know that, and I don't know, I think yours is up to date, but there's been a few U-turns on a few different things with the government recently. So the business rates currently sits that there's going to be lower rates for hospitality.
Yes.
So that still doesn't impact our industry, does it? I don't think.
So it's retail, hospitality and wellness properties under 500k rateable value. It may include some beauty salons and beauty rooms and so on. I think possibly more the kind of salons that are part of another, so kind of like a gym or something like that, or maybe in a part of a hotel. I believe it's going to be more that kind of thing rather than standalone. There is still not all the detail is available yet, because it never is.
No, and I'm sure that they've got room to U-turn still, haven't they?
There is time, and there's always room for a U-turn.
The government love U-turn.
We love, it's great.
We do seem to be discovering this of late, don't we? There just seems to be U-turns everywhere. Which literally, I mean, it does, doesn't it? It just makes for a bumpy road, because all the planning you do and all of the trying to get ready for it then becomes undone, or it, you know, hopefully it's not going to worsen. But I know it's just challenging, isn't it? It just makes it an uneven playing field.
It does. I think, you know, we're talking about U-turns. We were all expecting huge VAT changes in the budget in November.
Yeah,
you know, all of us, there's going to be a huge VAT change. Absolutely nothing.
No.
It was like a U-turn before the decision had even been made.
Yeah.
They'd put it out there, realised that actually if we put this out there, we're going to have to do a U-turn at some point. So they just didn't do it.
No.
But the frustration of, this is going to happen, it's going to, well, no, it's not going to happen. It's coming. Year after.
It's going to come, isn't it? I think the VAT system has been needing a shake-up for a really long time.
It needs total overhaul.
And I think for an industry like ours, where our product costs in actual fact are relatively minimal compared to our service costs, it just doesn't seem fair, does it, that we just get penalised, because to be charged 20% on someone's hourly rate is just it just seems quite cruel.
And obviously, because you're charging out to the public, they can't reclaim it, so they care about that extra 20% on their bill, and you end up swallowing that. And
and it'd be interesting, won't it? I know a friend of mine who lives in Europe. I think he's in Germany or Austria, and they have I think it's a 20,000 limit. So basically, as soon as you register a business, you might just as well register.
The rest of Europe is all lower.
It's much lower. And we've said,
I think because so much of the problem we have is that, and I know I was talking with my husband about this yesterday, is that when I had my salon business, it was quite a small premises, so I didn't have that much capacity for growth. And I kind of got to a place where I was getting close to the VAT threshold, and it's like, I've got nowhere to go. I can't, so I had to hold my business back, and that was a real shame, because it could have, you know, I had another premises I looked at. There's a whole big story around this, but I had another premises I was looking at that was like 3 times the size, but it was also something like 10 times the cost of my rent, and it was just and in the end, there was a lot of problems with it. I had to walk away. But that was the only way I could do it, was to create the bigger business, was to like massively increase the size of my risk. And for me at that point, and then COVID hit, and I'm so glad I didn't go down that road. But it's just a massive, massive problem, because you do get that place, like you can't get beyond it.
It's
Yeah.
You've kind of got to do a big chunk over it to make that
Yeah.
money back. So
Yeah.
you make a decision as, are you going to go for it
Yeah.
and grow, or are you just going to hover
under
Yeah.
it.
beneath the
And
threshold?
this is it, and it kind of restricted me massively. And I know that there are hundreds and thousands of businesses in our industry that look at that number. And I know when I was looking at doing it, there was a ballpark figure of you'd have to jump from, I think, whatever it was, 80,000 to about 110, 120,000 to make
It's
it work.
somewhere between 120 and 150 now
Yeah.
to
And
be
it's,
back to where you were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and 90,000's that
Yeah.
threshold. And also that's
Yeah.
not increased for a while, just generally, has
No,
it?
it's not
No.
increased with inflation at all. So
no, because I know, I mean, this is going back, but I was that premises I was looking at was like 2015, so it's quite a long time ago. But
Yeah.
it's but it was that same challenge is there now as it was then. And
But
so
so many
many
more
businesses,
people are being caught by even the 90,000 because everything's gone
Yeah.
up in price. The
Yeah.
sales prices have gone up. So
Yeah.
more people are having to consider
and I think we're
VAT.
finding a lot more individuals, whereas before, if you were working on your own,
Yeah.
turning
Yeah,
over
you-
90 was actually quite ambitious. Now you need to turn over 90 just to survive.
yeah,
If you're working on your own, living on your own, by the time you've taken off all your costs, 90,000, it's
it's not.
not
It's
much
not as
left.
much as it used to be.
It's not.
I think that, I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what they do and whether or not they make a different rate for service-based businesses or whether they reduce the threshold. Or it's just, yeah. What would you like to see, ladies? What would be your best outcome for our industry? Because it just blows my mind whenever I try thinking about it.
I think I'm torn between the what would we like and then the hell it would create. So I would like the VAT threshold to come right down. I think that would really level the playing field in so many ways across the industry.
Because everybody would
Because
just have it
everybody,
and everything.
as you said, unless you're a real hobbyist, you are registering for VAT. And it means from day one, you've got that's in sight. So you do all your pricing based on the fact that I'm going to have to register for VAT at some point, whether that's today or next month. So you've got that in mind. You're not hitting 90,000 and think I've got to put my prices up by 20%. The flip side of that, I think to us as accountants who have the joy of dealing with HMRC regularly, whether they have the capacity for handling it and whether it would just cause utter chaos.
Yeah,
which
that would be
causes chaos for business
a lot
owners.
of businesses, wouldn't it, going into it?
Yeah, it would capture a lot of businesses and it would be very painful for some of those businesses in the short term as well. So it'd have to be some kind of gradual, which is then even more complicated. So I would like to see it come right down. I don't know about you. It's just how that happens and the logistics of making it not a horrible process for everybody involved.
I think although it sounds awful to most people bringing it down, I think in the long run it's easier because, like you say, everybody's then in it. So you're competing against the same people that are already in it. So it's not
the playing field is leveled, isn't it?
Yeah. Because I did consider when I first started my business, my salon, and I knew I was going to be going from like my home business into premises, I did consider registering because I was doing my husband's VAT. I wasn't frightened of doing it. And I just kept thinking like, this has got to be easier because then I'm in it from the beginning and I've then never got to worry about the barrier.
I think
I really wish I'd made that decision, but everybody around me was like, why would you do that? You are mad. So I kind of second guessed myself and I didn't do it. And I really wish I had made the decision to, because it is obviously it's always an option. You can register for VAT. You don't have to hit the threshold.
No, you don't. You can voluntarily register. What we suggest to businesses that are very high growth and that's where they're intending to go is to not necessarily register from day one, but factor it into your pricing from day one.
Yeah.
So that, yes, for that first 90,000, you're actually earning 20% more than you would otherwise. Yeah. But once you hit the 90,000, it's all factored into your pricing, and then you drop down onto the profit that you're anticipating making, rather than having this horrible shock to all of your customers that a manicure has gone to 40 to 48 pounds, or they've been paying the 48 from day one because that's what you had factored into your pricing.
Yeah.
So it's about planning as well.
Yeah. And I think it is. I think as an industry, and maybe it is because we're like a female-dominated industry, and we have, I don't know, it's that whole kind of gender gap thing, isn't it?
There's a massive gender,
huge around numbers and maps, and Yeah.
And I know, like, you know, my sister, for example, she is what's the thing? I forgot. She has dyscalculia. And she's one of the most intelligent people I know, but give her a set of numbers to add up, can't do it. Really can't do it. But if you ask her to break down some like massive legal piece of paper, she can break that down really well. And so I think as women, we just, although we've like managed household budgets and that kind of stuff, like if we want to get like really like 1950s on this, we don't have necessarily the confidence in transferring that into a business, and yet we've been doing that, going to Sainsbury's or going to wherever for decades, hundreds of years, managing households.
It's only within our lifetime that females have been allowed to have bank accounts.
I know, and mortgages.
Lifetime.
I only discovered the changing mortgages in the 70s. My daughter told me about it a few months ago, and I was like, no,
it's
ridiculous.
It's just yeah.
So no wonder there is a gap.
Yeah.
You know, because that takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah, because we might have been sitting indoors, you know, writing down on a shopping list, that's going to cost me this, and I've got this much housekeeping, which is basically accounting.
Yes.
We've just never given ourselves the like, yay, I can do accounting badge. And it might be basic accounting, but it's still enough to bring it into your business and be able to understand whether you've got enough money left and whether you've got profit, or whether you haven't got enough money left and you're in debt. It's just like it's a very simple mechanism that we don't realise we actually have.
I don't think people necessarily write everything down. So particularly if you're a home salon, you know your sales, but you don't look at how many hours that you're actually working
for them. And you don't look at what you're spending on products, what products are being wasted. And even in bigger salons, how much time between appointments in rooms, the turnaround time, how much of that is actually used, how much dead time have you got going in your room? So utilization.
Yeah.
There's lots of little places where the money drips out.
Absolutely. There is, isn't there? And I think, and it's something I was talking to someone the other day about. We were saying it's sort of like there's an awful lot of like kind of COVID hangover where we kind of allow all this extra time for all the cleaning and doing all that stuff because we had to for a long period of time. We had to make sure we ventilated the room and that we cleaned every single surface and door handle and knobbing, and we had to do that in between every client. And I think there's an element of we've kind of left that time limit in there a little bit, and we don't really need to. And it is, and that 10 minutes that we now maybe allow, where we just used to go, take a seat, they'll be with you in a moment, and bring them through as you're still working. We've kind of lost that mentality a little bit.
Yeah.
And it just adds up. Like
it adds up. We call it marginal gains, but it's these tiny things. It's very rare that there's one big thing you can do in a business to make it more profitable. It's lots of little things, which is accumulative, make a huge difference.
Yeah,
it's an awareness. It's it's okay being lovely to a client and allowing time, but it's about knowing that that's what you're doing,
or your staff,
and building that into your price.
Yes.
Because it's like, with me, I know because of how I work I've still got a home salon that I operate, and I don't do many clients, but if I do have them back to back, I want to have a big overlap because they've got to get off my drive. There's a lot of logistical stuff around mine, so I have to have a big gap, but that's factored in. So if I've got 2 clients back to back, that half an hour in between them, I know that my time's still ticking effectively, and that is banked into my prices because I don't want to lose out on all of that.
And I don't think people do that to start with.
That cleaning time and emptying my bed off and going to get them a glass of water and then coming, it's all that stuff, isn't it? It's like, I leave my clients and I let them have 5 minutes into the treatment because I only do massagey stuff now. So I want them to relax and I want them to feel comfortable, and I don't want to be rushing them out, but that's built into my time, into my costs.
And that's why it's okay because it's built in. But I think particularly when people start off, well, those sorts of things aren't taught in colleges.
No.
But you need to allow those times. You think you're going to have this many clients a day and you're going to make this much. Yeah. And that's not the reality.
And also, especially if you're doing like holistic treatments and like therapeutic treatments, and you're using your hand, obviously we all use our hands an awful lot doing what we do. But if you're massaging, you can't do 8 clients a day back to back.
No.
It's not physically, it's not good for you. But you've got to have each client, you've got to clear the bed and you've got to remake the bed and you've got to do all that stuff. So each 1 hour client really is an hour and a half because you've got to do the prep, you've got to be organised, you've got to be centred and all that stuff. So you've got to allow, even if it's an hour and 15 or an hour and 20, you've got to allow that little bit of breathing time. And that needs to be in your prices. You know, we could go on about pricing forever.
Yes, I think I sense that a magazine article on pricing is coming up later this year.
Maybe, yeah, it's always a good one because, and I think, you know, because a lot of the people in the magazine will write about pricing, but everybody comes at it from a different point of view. And I think, like, as an accountant, you two, as accountants, you two will come at it from a very different point of view of how that can impact your bottom line. And and it is obviously it's always about the profit, but we need to also bear in mind it's also about sanity and having time to breathe and to relax and not batter yourself into a wall. Anyway, the last thing we're going to talk about is just is the joys of making tax digital. Because it's huge, it's coming. And if you are taking more than £50,000 in your 2024-25 tax year, because we were just discussing that, weren't we, as to whether or how that's going to land. If the tax return you're doing now, if you've got more than £50,000 on there as turnover, the game's up. You're now MTD.
That is it.
Yes. And once you're in, you're in. So if your turnover is over £50,000, and that's your turnover, not your profit.
Yep. So your
very different
sales figure before any expenses. And I think where people sometimes are going a bit wrong when they do their own returns is if you use sum up or something like that, it's before those sum up fees.
Yeah. So you need to it is important to separate out those fees. Lots of people don't because they think it makes no difference to the bottom line.
And it doesn't. And it doesn't. Tax figure.
But in terms of your turnover, it absolutely does. And also as good practice, not just for MTD purposes, but if you're looking at grants or mortgages or anything like that, having your turnover stated correctly is really, really important.
And that's the same for the VAT threshold as well, actually, having turnover separate from the fees.
Yeah.
And it's that figure there, that sales figure, if that's over 50,000 in 24-25, you are in.
And there is no way out, unfortunately. So basically it means that you have to file not one, but 5 tax returns a year. So 4 quarterlies and then one that kind of does all the tidying up and ties all the loose ends together at the end of the year. So they'll be due in July or October, January, and April.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in line with the magazine edition.
Yes.
But so that's basically how it's going to work. So
quarterly, and then you'll need software to submit those as well. So the bag of receipts or the shoebox or wherever you shove your receipts at the moment, no more spreadsheets. It has to be on account software. And
it has to be on approved account software. I would have a look at that. If you're using, there's lots of specialist softwares. You can go on HMRC's website to see whether the software you use is an approved supplier. Do not rely on the supplier themselves telling you. So
I know, because when I was doing mine, because we were saying I'm a last minute Larry, I've just done mine this weekend, and I nearly changed my system, but now I'm even doubting whether my one I've got is an approved one or not. I'm sure it is.
It's worth having a look. Big ones will be, the big ones are, but it's worth having a look and checking. And then if it's not on that list, going back to your software provider.
Yes. Yeah. And there are a couple of sneaky ones. I don't think I've seen any of the beauty industry ones, but other industries where it says that it will provide the reports. But that doesn't mean it can submit it to HMRC. So it'll give you a fairly pointless report.
I'm thinking with mine is that I know it's got, I need to go and check that.
Yes. Approved MTD software. So the biggies are Free Agent, Xero, QuickBooks, Sage. All of those are approved and will have various different offerings.
There's different levels that you can do.
Apart from Free Agent, which has got everything included. So there's lots of software out there. You have to use a software. The portal that you might be submitting your tax return through at the moment will just disappear if your turnover is over £50,000. So it will not be there.
So you won't be able to go on HMRC and submit directly.
They're not providing any free software either. So you have to have software. We'd just start doing it sooner rather than later, just so you get in habit of understanding what you need to do. You have to have your bank connected to the software, either a live connection or an upload, so that you're recording all of that information digitally.
That's just another point, actually. Make sure with the accounting software that you choose that it supports the bank that you have,
use.
Because some of them don't support,
banks,
especially
I'm not
like
naming
I'm with a bank that has pots and stuff.
Yes, hello.
And
None of them like pots.
So when you have pots, it's a bit of a pain. As accountants, we don't like pots.
No.
We love them and hate them.
As clients, I can completely get why
Yeah.
you like them, and it helps you separate money without having a physical separate bank account. When you connect your accounting software, you'll get the option to connect with or without pots. Don't connect with the pots, because it creates loads of extra accounting transactions that you don't need to do.
Yes. I know, because mine I don't think does, because I was looking for the transactions and they don't appear on my bank statement.
That's good.
On the digital version of it, they're not there, but I can see it on my banking app.
Yes,
all of the money
so that's the
moving
best way
forward.
round, isn't it? That you can use it, but then it doesn't mean that you have to do hundreds of extra transactions
Or lots
on
of different
software.
bank accounts. Yeah, because I know people have got sort of 10, 15 pots set up, and effectively for us that means they're each an extra bank account, and it turns into a complete nightmare trying to reconcile it. So
but I think if you're running kind of profit first mentality, then the pots are amazing, and that's kind of how I've always
absolutely
used it.
Yeah, so for clients it's a mate. So yeah, for you guys do that, but then when you connect to your software, choose the without